Welcome back to Rifleman 2.0, and today I've got a pretty good one, especially with deer season coming up. The 45 Kentucky Rifle Flintlock. Check it out with me. Alright, here we go. Just in time for deer season. It is still warm here in the northern Midwest, but that's not going to last very long. So we got to start thinking later in the season, so we got to get out our black powder rifles and start getting them sighted in. So here I have the Jaeger Italy Kentucky rifle in 45. So I'm going to be using a 440 patch ball, which is going to be a .010 patch. It's going to be pre-lubricated, of course, and I'm going to be going between two different types. I'm going to have a swaged round ball, and I'm also going to have a sprued ball, and we're going to see how they both perform on ranges of 25 and 50 yards. We're also going to be doing some penetration tests at the end. So if you're not familiar with the Kentucky long rifle, it's an American icon. You're going to pretty much see it on every statue and painting from early Americana. It's known as the Kentucky long rifle because it's just so darn long. I mean, sitting on its butt. This one's relatively short because it doesn't go up all the way, but some of the originals were all the way up to here. But this is a shortened down version. The Pennsylvanias that you'll get from, like, say, Pedersoli, yeah, they're really that tall. But this one's not so bad. This is an early 80s model that I picked up on the side somewhere. We'll put it like that. Let's get her pattern in and check it out with me. Now, of course, the Kentucky rifle is a muzzle loader. So you'll have to take out your ramrod, put your round in there. We'll do a little bit of loading in a minute. But send it down there. Make sure that she's empty. That's empty. And then, long story short, without getting too far into it, it's a pretty simple method of loading her up, but you only get one shot, so you better be accurate. Now, this being a flintlock and a muzzle loader, it is not your regular cartridge fed or breech loader rifle. Obviously, like I just showed you, it's a muzzle loader. You load it from the muzzle, right? Now, the later models, known as percussion, there would be like a percussion cone right here. You put the percussion cap on there, cock it, and off she goes. Well, a flintlock does not work like that. You have to put a little bit of powder right there in the pan. You can see the touch hole right there. You close what's called the frizzen, or the strike surface there. Pull back your cock and get a little bit of a spark there. That's how you ignite it. Now, these rifles usually come pretty darn bare, so I added a sling to it to obviously make it a whole lot easier to wield in the woods. And to protect that frizzen, because I don't want that thing getting destroyed, I have a leather frizzen cover. Pretty neat, right? Super simple. Just hangs off the trigger guard. Not necessary, but good to have. Now, with the flintlock rifle, it does require a kit to keep this thing running. Like I mentioned before, you can't just slap a cartridge in there and she's off to go. No, you need the entire kit. I mean, we're talking primitives here. So you're going to start off, and the biggest thing you're going to have is your possibles bag or your shooting bag. Next, you're going to have some sort of powdered horn or some sort of container to hold your powder. You're going to want to have a short starter, which is pretty darn nice, especially when you're getting a little bit fouled up. It's nice to have a napping hammer right here. You're going to want two different kinds of patches. You're going to want your dry patch and you're going to want your lube patch. And then, of course, you're going to have your pan primer there. And you're also going to have a powder measure just to keep things safe. So like I mentioned, you got two different kinds of patches. These are your loading pre-lubed patches right here. These are the .01 thickness. And these are going to be your cleaning patches. So you can send them through dry. I would not recommend. Okay? Or you can spray them down with a little bit of Ballistol. Or pop it in your mouth, get it moist. At least get some of that fouling out of there. These are very important. Your pan primer right here, it's not really necessary. You can actually load from your regular charge, but this has actually got 4F in it. And all you do is just push on this little nipple right here, and it throws out like about 3 grains of charge in your pan. Just makes things a whole lot easier. This little napping hammer has to keep your flint nice and sharp. If it's not sharp, it don't spark. Now, I do believe I forgot to mention the vent pick right here. So that'll be in your touch hole, and if you push up on this little slider here, and you might be able to see it, that little line of wire there, and you're going to put that inside your touch hole and like kind of squirt it around, and then it'll keep that cleared out so you can have the flame going through. An important piece of equipment to have with you, you wouldn't even think about it, a handkerchief to wipe your pan between shots so it doesn't get clogged up. If you have too much buildup and fouling in that pan, you're not going to get a good flame going through that touch hole. Same as if you don't pick it. it's gonna get clogged up, gooked up, and all that stuff. It's just not gonna work out. Use your handkerchief. All right, so we have an idea of how this thing is run, the kit we need to run it. Let's do something very important that you always do before you do anything, and that is make sure she is not loaded. As you can see, it is flush. She is not loaded. There is no ball down there, no charge, no nothing, so you're not gonna get a surprise, which, trust me, it's happened to me before. It's not fun. Okay, step 2. I just took her out of storage, and I did oil it before I put it up for a little while. So I'm going to take my range rod with a dry patch, and that'll sop up any kind of moisture that's left down in there from the oil or whatever. And she should be good now. We're going to be testing 2 different kinds of ball today. They're both going to be 440 sized, but one of them is cut sprue and one of them is swaged ball. What's the difference? The swaged ball, as a shortened explanation, is a pressure treated, perfectly round ball. The sprue ball is actually cast and cut off at the sprue, and you can probably see that right there. So we'll see how they stack up against each other today, which one's more accurate. All right guys, got all my pre-prep done, so let's take it at 25 yards and we're gonna start it off with the sprue ball. Okay guys, I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I'm going to have to load off the table. We're going to start off by loading 50 grains of 3F Schützen powder. Obviously my flask has a powder measure already attached to it, but I'm not going to throw directly from the flask. And she goes. Easy peasy. Okay, and then we're going to take our patch, our sprue ball. Now I'm told it's supposed to be more accurate if you do it sprue up, so we'll go with that. Try and center it on the patch, get her on there. Get your short starter, push it in. Alright, got her started. Take my range rod here. Solid brass, super easy, nice and heavy. Always rams it down, no problem. You don't have to beat around it. You're not going to bust a hickory ramrod up or anything like that. Keeps it simple. Okay, now our ignition source. Send that frizz into the front. You're going to load a little bit into the pan there, not a lot. You don't want to overload it, because if you do too much, it's just going to give you a hang fire. You don't want that. Alrighty, at 25 yards with the sprued ball, let's see how we do. Okay, I'm not seeing an impact. Let's try again. Alright, shot number 2, and let's see where this one lands. I'm not too confident about that first one. That don't look good. Alright, looks like it hit high and right. Okay, that's 3 shots. Let's see what happened. Well, it's kind of odd duck, because here's your first shot, second shot, and then third shot was dead in the middle. Not a particularly impressive group, to be honest with you. Well, I am not happy with that group, to be perfectly honest. That's not very good at 25 yards. That's not very good at all. So let's bump it over to the swaged balls after I get this thing cleaned up real quick. Okay, so I swabbed out the bore, and I can tell you what, loading from the kit is so much easier than going off the tabletop after you get used to it. But anywho, I am not happy with that group at all. Now you might be thinking, well, that's the cold bore shot. Well, that's the problem. See, if I'm going to take this out for deer this year, that cold bore needs to count for something. And that first shot, the one that way off to the right, that's no good. So whether the sprue ball had something to do with that, I don't know. But we're going to try the swage ball and see how they do. Hopefully with them being perfectly round instead of just partially round, that'll have something to do with it, right? That'll help. We'll see. 25 yards, this should be nothing. With the swaged ball, let's see how we do. Alright, we hit to the 12 o'clock. Shot number 2. If I'm not mistaken, that's a center hit. Alright, let's see how we did. Well, given appearances, I think I got a second center hit here and here. It's slightly better, I guess. Okay, so let's face facts here. Those groups were keister. That's a nice way of putting it. So I'm thinking maybe the sunglasses had something to do with it. I changed it to clear lenses, and I'm going to swab between shots instead of doing 3-shot volleys, and we'll see if that does a difference. Okay, I recovered a couple of my patches, and these things are ripped up, like completely ripped up. So that tells me I am overcharging this puppy. So I'm going to bring it down to 40 grains and see if that makes a difference. Okay, so as I mentioned, I am going to rerun this, and we're back to the sprue ball. I dialed it down to 40 grains of triple F, and I'm going to be swapping between each shot and see if it makes a difference. A little bit of a hang fire. Looks like it went high and left. At 12 o'clock, it's already looking better. And here's the third shot. Alright, let's see how we did. Well, with the sprue ball, that's better. Not by much, but it's better. All of them consistently went high. So I'll make a note of that. Alright, ready to go. I'm gonna tell you what, guys, if you don't have patience, muzzle loading ain't for you. It is definitely slow shooting. Alright, here we go. Hang fire. Hit off to the left. Ooh. The swaged balls are definitely looking a whole lot better. Not a massive change in accuracy. That's a previous one that doesn't count, but it's this group here is a heck of a lot better than these 3 across. Well, I broke my ramrod, so that's frustrating. But here we are at 50 yards with a sprue ball, and we're gonna see how we do. We have to get used to kit loading. Going off the table can be extremely frustrating. Stuff blowing all over the place, things breaking on you, falling over. It's very frustrating. Anyway, 50 yards. Looked like it went in outer space. Alright, let's see how we did. Well, at 50 yards, those sprue balls did god awful. They're flying off in outer space somewhere. So, the hell with those. Alright, with the swaged balls, one of them went Space Cadet. Who knows where that went? But we have 2 solid, good impacts. They grouped up halfway decent at 50. Is it the best? Nope. Does it work? Kinda. Okay, so that's 25 and 50 yards. If you've ever shot it at length with a muzzleloader, it's a lot of work and it can be extremely frustrating. It really can be, especially when your equipment starts to fail on you. Whether it's your shooting equipment and your camera equipment. Very frustrating. But anyway, I would say that the swage balls perform better. Not big time. I wouldn't say it was by a huge margin, but they did better. I think I'm going to go with those. So let's move on to some penetration tests. Set at 25 yards, which here in the northern Midwest is going to be a practical range for a deer. We are going to try a hard surface penetration test, and this can be these 2 2x4s. Obviously I have 2 separate ones for a reason, because I kind of want to gauge where I'm at if and when it goes through it. Okay, at 25 yards we're going to do the Hornady Swage Ball 440 with 40 grains of triple F on those 2x4s down there and see how we do. Think we got a hit. Alright, so the ball skipped across the top one, hit the rear one, And yeah, she went all the way through, so that's good hard penetration. Okay, so it went through the hardwood. So we're gonna try and use this stack of paper as like a semi-soft target. Okay, let's see how we do with this newspaper. I think it went right through it. All right, let's see how we did. Nice convincing entry hole. Let's see if we got an exit. Oh, we sure do. Wow. Oh, busted right through it. Okay, now the coup de grace. This is going to simulate a deer. So hide, maybe a rib or something like that. Obviously soft tissue, and then heck, if it keeps going, we'll know she's a dead ringer. Okay, this looks like it's going to be the last shot of the day. And hopefully it hits true on that target, because I'm tired of dealing with all this. Here we go. Looks like it did the trick. Okay. Accuracy is definitely diminishing. Went through, took off the top of the melon, and just knocked these boards over, it looks like. Okay guys, that's that. Holy crap. Not gonna lie, this is a frustrating video to make. A lot of equipment failures, cameras, ramrods, things like that. Ultimately what happened why I couldn't hit the broadside of the barn was I fouled out. I mean, it's gotten to the point where I have to do a deep clean on it, otherwise I won't ever hit anything ever again. It's just the nature of black powder, is eventually you get fouled to the point where it gets in like all the rifling and stuff, like it settles down in the bottom of it, and you don't do a good clean out other than a swab here and there. Nah, you're not gonna be able to hit nothing. So, and ultimately that's what happened. But yeah, I probably put like maybe 40 rounds through it today, so that's a lot of shooting. So anyway, it was kind of fun. After I edit it, it's gonna be a lot more fun. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something from it. I don't know. I got to redo some of these experiments because it just didn't work out. The Hornady swage balls are definitely, those are gonna be my go-to. Not the sprued balls. That's not gonna do it. But yeah, I'm gonna do a follow-up part 2, and that'll be better. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.